You know something's horribly wrong when either of Arsenal's fullbacks, both Riccardo Calafiori or Jurrien Timber, have more goal contributions this season than the most expensive player in Premier League history, the £150 million striker Alexander Isak. You can't even make this up. And yet, here we are. Although it is early and only 8 matches into his Liverpool career, the man who is supposed to redefine their attack and help build for a future when their stars like Mo Salah are gone, has only a single goal to his name. For a guy like Isak, who is so hyped that he received the largest valuation of any Premier League player in history, this is all feeling like a huge mystery. And to make things even worse, even though Liverpool just broke a losing streak against Frankfurt in the Champions League, Isak was subbed off halfway through the match with a groin injury. So far, not only have things not looked good, but it looks like they're only getting worse. So what's actually going on? Has Isak been exposed by the intensity and structure of Liverpool's system? Was his £150 million move even worth it in the first place? Or have Liverpool bought a striker that doesn't quite fit what they've become under Arne Slot? Was he just a big fish in a small pond, or is this simply the calm before the storm? Just a matter of Isak having to adapt to a new environment, a new manager, and new tactics. He'll get there with nothing to worry about. Because for all his talents, like the unusually good dribbling for his position, his composure in front of goal, or the finishing ability that made him one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League, lately there's been an ever-growing sense of doubt. So let's break down the reason why Isak was so expensive in the first place, see if he was even really worth that price, and analyze just exactly why he's been struggling so much at Liverpool. One could say that Liverpool's decision to buy Isak was a huge gamble. At Newcastle, Isak demonstrated a scoring profile that analysts associated with the Premier League's elite. A 23% goal conversion rate placed him above established forwards such as Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe, both of whom were closer to the 15% mark. Isak showed the ability to finish cleanly with either foot, also being able to take shots off the dribble. And for a guy at his position and his size, Isak was pretty good at maintaining composure in tight angles inside the box. But even outside of his longer range shots and the dribbling, last season you could slowly see Isak evolving more into the position. And what I mean by that is by the increase of his poacher-style goals, essentially getting into better position and movement in order to exploit the defenders and find easier space for those quote tap-in goals, also helping him learn to be in the right place for those rebounds and second chances. And while most casuals would brush that off, spatial intelligence, movement, and positioning is indeed a very underrated skill, and this only shows that he was understanding the game more and overall making an improvement as a striker. However, Isak was never simply just a finisher. At Newcastle, he attempted around 3 dribbles per match, roughly triple the output of Erling Haaland and higher than Julian Alvarez's. And when his dribbles were successful, which was around 44% of the time, the result was usually a high-value shot or passing situation. Isak is the kind of striker that has the potential to dismantle the defense all on his own, a trait that is invaluable for strikers when build-up play and midfield structure collapses and you simply just need a miracle goal. In that aspect, he plays a lot more like a young Zlatan Ibrahimovic than he does like an Erling Haaland kind of striker. And at Newcastle, while I will say he was truly elite, I think the internet and especially social media was hyping him up a little bit too much. Because here's something I actually found myself agreeing with Jamie Carragher on.
I think Isak is seen as a better player than than he actually is, because there's such a dearth of great strikers around the world and in the Premier League. I think if you went back to sort of Thierry's days, I think there would be 6 or 7 Isaks in the Premier League sort of playing, sort of for the top clubs. But at this moment, as I said, there aren't many top centre forwards out there right now. Newcastle know that. They've tried to sign so many, and for Liverpool there's just one who they want, and I think that just tells you where we are with the central strikers in the world right now.
However, I digress. But equally important to his play is Isak's link-up game. His passing accuracy hovers around 76%, and that might be because Isak doesn't just stick to safe passes. What he does is consistently seek progressive passing options. He attempts more through balls than Mbappe and creates more opportunities in build-up phases than Haaland. Plus, add in his defensive work rate of around 50%, plus a 30% crossing accuracy from wide positions, and a 66% success rate in long passing. Really tells you that Isak is a very involved player, contributing to every phase of the match that he can. However, for all his upside, there were also warning signs that were easier to ignore when he was scoring goal. Isak has never been a high-shot striker in the mold of Erling Haaland or Victor Osimhen. His finishing quality does raise his ceiling, but his expected goal numbers have never consistently reached elite levels. Physically, his height doesn't really translate all that well either. He only has a 26% success in aerial duels, and for Premier League number 9s, that is notably bad, especially when you add the fact that he's taller than most defenders. And like we've seen recently, durability concerns have followed him from Real Sociedad to Newcastle. For the past few years, he's always had a few injuries a season, only making above 40 appearances in the past few years once. and that was just last 24-25 season. At Liverpool, it's only reasonable that if they would sign him, he would easily make over 50 appearances a season, something that his body has never done. Plus, the fact of the matter is that Isak was never even the top scorer in the Premier League once. In the 2023-24 season, he came in third, and there was still a bit of a gap between him and the top scorer at the time, Erling Haaland. And then in the 2024-25 season, he would finish in second place, with once again another noticeable gap between him and the number one scorer, Mo Salah, even if Salah did play a few more matches. However, since Isak debuted in the Premier League in August of 2022, he is above and beyond everyone else. But, well, as you can see, the other competition really isn't all that impressive either. So maybe Jamie Carragher really did have a point. That's why personally, for the life of me, I could not see how he would be worth that much money. Aside from the simple fact that inflation has caused these transfer prices to go out of control, and the fact that the transfer market was just really short on decent strikers. But still, a league record-breaking £150 million. For me, you have to be at least scoring goals like Erling Haaland for as consistently long as he has been doing, to even justify that kind of insane price. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Maybe some will argue that his price tag was also based on the fact that Isak was a huge factor in helping Newcastle win their very first trophy in 70 years. But regardless, when I saw that Liverpool was heavily pushing to sign Isak, I just couldn't wrap my mind around what Liverpool management were thinking. Perhaps they were just too ambitious. I mean, after all, they had just won the Premier League. But it seems like they were really trying to hyper-optimize Schlott's positional framework. Because this past summer, Liverpool had a blank check. In fact, it was the most money ever spent by a Premier League club in a transfer window, a total of £446 million. However, the big problem was that they would sign another forward, Hugo Ekitike. You know what they say, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, but we'll go back to that later. And I'll admit, early on to the season, Liverpool were on fire. Even though Mo Salah was having a much slower start than he did the last season, everyone else was looking to be in incredible form, especially Hugo Ekitike, banging out goals left and right. And all I could see on social media was the Liverpool glaze, and deservedly so. Liverpool were looking great indeed. However, the posts were captioning things like, Liverpool is already looking scary and they don't even have Isak yet. However, so far, it looked like those posts did not age very well. As I mentioned, right now Isak has only 1 goal in 8 appearances. And right now, even fans of the club are having very mixed thoughts on the Isak move as a whole. Of course, many are hoping that he can do well. However, there are those that point to the fact that Liverpool should not be building around Isak. Not only do they have an overabundance of forwards, but there are also many that just can't help but think that that €150 million transfer could have been used more wisely on overall better pieces. But what's going on with Isak exactly? First of all, I just want to say, even though I'm making this video, it is technically still early to judge Isak. So of course, instead of blaming him, we gotta look at why he hasn't been doing so well. But let me just preface this a little bit. There have been many Premier League legends that first arrived at their new clubs and didn't succeed at first. Notably guys like Didier Drogba, Luis Suarez, and even Thierry Henry. Even though these guys didn't really have amazing starts, they would end up becoming league legends. Liverpool does still believe that Isak, when fully fit and fully integrated, can offer a multi-dimensional focal point capable of elevating those around him. However, there are times when Isak is out there looking a bit too rushed or a bit too eager, not as fully calm or composed as we've seen him in Newcastle. But honestly, who can blame him? That comes with the weight of the fee. Isak wasn't just some expensive player, he was the most expensive player in Premier League history. And a 9-figure transfer does not just buy a player, it buys immense expectations. Every simple touch he makes will become a test. Every bad pass or every bad shot he takes will be talked about. While a 50 million transfer player might get a little more leniency and be allowed to take longer to settle, just the sheer weight of Isak's price tag changes everything completely. But how does Isak fit into Liverpool, really? Well, first of all, Arne Slot has openly acknowledged that Isak needs patience. After all, he did miss crucial preseason time, arriving late from Newcastle. Basically, from the beginning, Slot has tried to tell Liverpool fans that Isak isn't going to be a plug-and-play. He's going to be gradually eased in. This current Liverpool favors possession, structural build-up, and pressing triggers, rather than the all-out gegenpressing. But still, in this system, forwards are expected to contribute simply beyond poaching goals. Slot asks his forwards to rotate, link up, and create overloads. When he made his debut against Atletico, he looked great. Aside from the heavy first touches, technically he was fine. But to be fair, Atletico were getting trashed all season. The only immediate standout concerns was his lack of rhythm overall. And that's what you could typically expect from a new player in a new team. However, as the matches went on, there was no major improvement. But when it came to the Premier League, it looked a lot different. Isak was finding promising positions, touches in dangerous areas, multiple shots, and even clear chances, but he was not converting them at the rate that fans expected. And so far, of the 119 touches he's made, he's taken about 5 big shot opportunities, causing his expected goals to go up, but nevertheless only scoring a single goal. But what surprises me is his take-ons. As of the 7 take-ons he's made, he's only had 1 successful one, and that was all the way back in his Atletico Madrid debut. So from the numbers alone, what we can see is that Isak had a high number of touches, a decent amount of goal-scoring opportunities, and a good number of take-on attempts. However, his success percentages are pretty low. His passing so far has also been incredibly lackluster, because while he was known for making progressive passes, he still never had more than 4 in a single match since his Atletico Madrid debut. Basically, since his debut, he has not really improved all that much, even if he did score a goal earlier against Southampton. Where we can be optimistic about Isak though is in his movement. Although he hasn't fully synced up with Liverpool's rhythm all that well yet, his movement into half spaces, ability to drop down and link, and create overloads in the final third is pretty decent. He's just not converting his chances or making the best decisions when he has the ball. However, you can argue that the lack of match sharpness and the missed big chances can all be simply explained by fitness, minutes management, and system adaptation, making sense why Slot did ask Liverpool fans to be patient with Isak. The thing is, however, it's hard to have patience when you just cost that much, and you're also sharing a similar position to 2 other players on the team who are doing better, Gakpo and Ekitike. But here's why the move was so strange in the first place, because ironically the player that Isak was most comparable to was in fact Ekitike, and he joined Liverpool earlier, having 4 goal contributions in his first 4 appearances. And sure, Ekitike having a full preseason meant that he was able to gain momentum early. However, both forwards shared positional habits, drifting wide, linking up play, and not just being confined into the penalty box. And the fact that Liverpool got 2 very similar forwards was always weird with me, which is why I never thought those early season memes like "just wait till Isak joins" ever made any sense in the first place. It was clear that only one of these players could shine at the same time, because honestly, rotating is more realistic than having them both play at the same time. But if you're going to keep rotating forwards like that, there's no way any one of them can build and maintain incredible form. They're each going to need as much playing time as possible, because realistically, Slot cannot maintain both these players on the pitch at the same time. Sure, if Liverpool plays a 4-4-2, there could be a chance that those 2 strikers thrive, but that's only if Liverpool's midfield and fullbacks can compensate and maintain balance. And because Slot values possession a lot, I just don't see that consistently happening. Sure, having 2 strikers can give you variety, unpredictability, and a little bit of depth. But for that price tag, that production, and an unclear chemistry in how things are going to work, it's an idea that right now seems doomed to fail. Overall, I just think Liverpool were way too ambitious this past transfer window. And I'm not making this video because I want Isak to fail or I don't think he's great. With fitness concerns and the immense pressure on Isak's shoulders with that insane price tag, it's going to be a very hard transition for both Liverpool and Alexander Isak. Of course, I can be wrong and everything will turn out great. However, with the way things are going on right now, I just can't see it happening.